There is a moment the waiting stops. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets or a sudden surge of victory. It arrives quietly. It's the moment your thumb hovers over his name in your contacts, and for the first time, you don't press it. It's the evening you get home from work, place your phone on the counter, and forget about it for an hour. The phone is silent. But this is not the same silence as yesterday. Yesterday's silence was a roaring emptiness. It was a space you filled with questions, with anxieties, with scenarios. Every notification sound that wasn't from him was a small disappointment. Every glance at the black, reflective screen was a question. Does he think of me? Did I say something wrong? Is he with someone else? That silence was a territory he occupied inside your head. But today, the silence is different. It's not peaceful yet. It's just empty. And this new emptiness is terrifying in its own way. Because when you stop waiting for his message, you are left alone with yourself. And you are no longer sure who that person is without the wait. The old role, the persona of the patient, understanding, waiting woman, has been set down. And in its place, there is a vacuum. A part of your mind, the part that has been conditioned to play the game, screams that this is a mistake. It tells you that silence is a tactic, a move in a chess match, and you are about to be checkmated. It whispers, he will forget you, out of sight, out of mind. You need to send a casual meme, an innocent question, just to remind him you exist. This is the critical juncture. This is where most women mistake a profound inner shift for a tactical failure. They panic, pick up the phone, and send the message, re-entering the cycle of waiting, of giving their power away. They mistake the discomfort of self-reclamation for the pain of being forgotten. But the deeper truth is far more uncomfortable and far more liberating. When you stop waiting for his message, you haven't stopped caring. You have, perhaps for the first time, started to truly hear yourself. The silence is no longer a game you are playing with him. It is the beginning of a boundary you are drawing for yourself. The space that his absence once filled is not meant to be a void. It is meant to be reclaimed. It is the psychic ground upon which you will rebuild your own inner home. This transition from waiting to being is one of the most subtle and powerful acts of psychological sovereignty a woman can perform. It's a quiet revolution that takes place not on the screen of a phone, but in the deepest chambers of the psyche. It's the moment you stop asking the phone for validation and begin to ask yourself what you truly need. What hurts is not the silence itself. What hurts is the story you have been taught to attach to it. The story says that a man's attention is the measure of your worth, that his initiative is the proof of your desirability, that his pursuit is the confirmation of your value. So when the pursuit stops, when the messages cease, the unconscious conclusion is terrifying. I am not worthy. I am not desirable. I am not valuable. And so you wait. You chase. You send the checking in text. You keep the channel open, not out of genuine connection, but out of a deep, primal fear of what his silence might mean about you. You are not waiting for him. You are waiting for a verdict on your own worth. This is not a flaw in your character. It is a deep psychological pattern, a complex that has been activated. The Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung gave us a language to understand these profound inner dynamics. He would not see a woman anxiously checking her phone. He would see a psyche caught in a powerful projection. In Jungian terms, you have projected a vital part of your own inner authority, what he called the animus, onto this man. The animus, in its positive form, represents a woman's own inner logic, her assertiveness, her capacity for action and discernment. It is her inner king, her own source of validation. But when this inner authority is not consciously owned, it gets projected outward. It lands on a man who seems to embody those qualities. He becomes the one who holds the power to decide, to choose, to validate. His message becomes the royal decree that says, you are seen, you matter. And so, waiting for his text is not just a romantic frustration. It is a state of profound psychological dependency. You have, unconsciously, handed over the keys to your own inner kingdom. His silence feels like a judgment from your own soul. This is why stopping the chase feels so dangerous. It's not just about losing him. It's about facing the terrifying possibility that you must learn to rule your own kingdom. You must become your own source of validation. You must learn to anoint yourself. The first step in this process is to stop seeing your silence as a tactic. A tactic is something you do to get a reaction from someone else. It's a move in a game. If I go silent, he will miss me and come back. This is still playing the game. It is still orienting your entire being around his response. It keeps you in the waiting room of your own life, just with a different magazine in your hands. A boundary is something entirely different. A boundary is not for him. It is for you. A boundary says, this is where I end and the world begins. My peace of mind is no longer available for negotiation. My emotional state will no longer be determined by the presence or absence of a notification on my phone. Silence as a tactic is tense. It is filled with expectation. You are holding your breath, listening for his footsteps. Silence, as a boundary, is a deep exhalation. It is the feeling of coming home to your own body. You are no longer listening for him. You are listening to the rhythm of your own heart. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It begins with small, conscious acts of rebellion against the old pattern. It begins with the phone, that small, black mirror. For so long, it has reflected your anxiety back at you. Now, you must transform its meaning. When the urge to check it arises, notice it. Don't judge it. Just notice the tension in your shoulders, the quickening of your breath. This is the body's memory of the chase. This is the addiction to the hit of external validation. Instead of picking up the phone, place your hand on your own heart. Breathe. Ask yourself, what is it I am truly hoping to find on that screen? Am I looking for connection, or am I looking for relief from this anxiety? If the answer is relief from anxiety, then he is not the cure. He is the drug. And the only way to heal from the addiction is to sit through the discomfort of withdrawal. This discomfort is where your shadow lives. The shadow, in Jung's model, is not evil. It is simply the parts of ourselves we have disowned and repressed because we deemed them unacceptable. For many women, the shadow contains the needy girl, the one who feels too much, wants too much, and fears abandonment above all else. We build a persona, a social mask, to hide this shadow. The persona might be the cool girl who is always breezy and unbothered, or the strong, independent woman who insists she needs no one. But beneath the mask, the shadow waits, and a man's silence is what calls it out of the darkness. The panic you feel when he doesn't text is the panic of the shadow being exposed. The cool girl mask is cracking, and the terrified inner child is peering through, whispering, "See, I knew it. If I'm not perfect, if I'm not constantly proving my worth, I will be abandoned." Stopping the wait is an act of turning towards this shadow. It is saying, I see you, I feel your fear, but I will no longer let you drive my actions. I will no longer betray myself to appease your terror. You sit with the feeling. You let the wave of anxiety wash over you without reaching for the phone to make it stop. You are, in effect, reparenting that abandoned part of yourself. You are teaching her, through your own actions, that you will not abandon her. You are her source of safety now, not him. This is the true meaning of transforming silence from a game into a boundary. It is an internal process of integration. Think of the emotional energy you have been expending. The hours spent analyzing his words, his response times, the meaning of his emojis, the mental real estate dedicated to crafting the perfect, casual reply, the emotional highs of a quick response, the crushing lows of being left on read. This is a massive leakage of your life force, your psychic energy. You have been watering a garden in someone else's yard while your own lies fallow. A boundary is a dam. It stops the leak. It contains your precious energy so that you can use it to cultivate your own life. What do you do with this reclaimed energy? At first, you might not know. The silence feels empty because you have forgotten what you sound like when you're not trying to be heard by him. This is the time for sacred curiosity. What did you love to do before he became the center of your emotional orbit? What music did you listen to? What books did you want to read? What friendship did you neglect because you were always keeping your evenings free, just in case he called? Fill the space, not as a distraction, but as an act of devotion to yourself. Go for the walk without your phone. Sit in the cafe and read the book. Put on the music that makes you feel alive in your own skin. Every action you take that is purely for your own nourishment is a brick in the foundation of your new inner home. You are moving the locus of control from his fingertips back to your own soul. This process will inevitably change how you see him. As you withdraw your projection of the Animus, the golden halo you placed upon his head begins to fade. You start to see him more clearly. You might see a man who is simply busy, or a poor communicator, and the intensity of your previous anxiety will seem disproportionate. Or, you might see a man who is genuinely ambivalent, emotionally unavailable, or who thrives on the power of keeping you guessing. In either case, the truth becomes clearer because your vision is no longer clouded by your own neediness. You are no longer looking at him through the filter of, "Please choose me." You are looking at him through the clear lens of, "Are you a match for the woman I am becoming?" This is a fundamental shift in power, and it is a power that has nothing to do with manipulation. It is the power of self-possession. There is a strange paradox here. The moment you truly, deeply let go of the need for him to text you is often the moment he feels the shift. Your silence is no longer a question mark aimed at him. It has become a period, a full stop. It is a statement of self-sufficiency. Human beings, on an unconscious level, are exquisitely sensitive to these shifts in psychic energy. When you were waiting, your energy was leaning towards him, pleading, questioning. It was a pull energy, even in your silence. It was needy. When you create a boundary, your energy pulls back into yourself. It becomes centered, grounded. It is no longer asking for anything, and this is profoundly attractive. It signals wholeness. It signals that you are not a void to be filled, but a source in your own right. He may or may not reach out, and this is the most important part of the entire process. The outcome no longer holds the key to your peace. If he does reach out, he will not be met by the anxious, waiting woman. He will be met by you, a woman who is more grounded in her own life, a woman whose happiness is not contingent on his attention. Your conversation will be different because you are different. You will no longer be auditioning for a role in his life. You will be assessing whether he is worthy of a role in yours. And if he does not reach out, it will still hurt. The loss of a connection, or the hope of one, is a real grief, but it will not shatter you. It will not be a verdict on your worth. It will simply be information. Information that this person was not the right person to walk beside you on your path. The silence will have done its sacred work. It will have protected you from a connection that required you to abandon yourself. This is the end of the game. The only way to win is to stop playing. If this journey of transforming silence into a boundary speaks to a quiet resolution you've been making in your own heart, consider this a moment of affirmation. You are not going crazy. You are getting sane. Let's trace the symbolic journey of the phone. In the beginning, it is an altar upon which you sacrifice your peace of mind. It is a crystal ball into which you scry for signs and portents. Its silence is a curse. Its ping is a blessing. It holds absolute power over your emotional state. In the middle of the process, the phone becomes a tool for your practice. It is the dumbbell you use to strengthen your muscle of self-restraint. Each time you resist the urge to check, to send, to chase, you are completing a rep. You are building inner strength. Its silence is a challenge. Its ping is a test of your newfound center. In the final stage, the phone becomes just a phone again. It is a piece of plastic and glass, a useful tool for communication, but not the arbiter of your value. Its silence is peaceful. It is simply the absence of noise. Its ping is just a notification, which you can attend to in your own time, from a place of fullness, not from a place of lack. This journey requires courage, the courage to face your own shadow, the courage to sit with uncomfortable feelings, the courage to disappoint the part of you that was taught that love is something you must earn through constant effort and self-abandonment. Carl Jung spoke of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming a psychologically whole and distinct individual. It is the journey from being a collection of unconscious roles and complexes to becoming a conscious, integrated self. Stopping the wait is a profound act of individuation. It is the moment you declare that your identity is not the woman he is or isn't texting. Your identity is your own. You begin to notice the texture of your own life again, the taste of your morning coffee, no longer soured by the anxiety of an unanswered "good morning" text, the sound of birds outside your window, no longer drowned out by the internal monologue of "what did I do wrong?" The feeling of your own breath, steady and deep, no longer held in anticipation. You are taking your life back, one moment, one breath, one unsent text at a time. The old persona, the good girl who waits, must be mourned. She served a purpose. She protected you from the raw fear of abandonment. She did the best she could with the tools she had. Let her go with compassion. Thank her for her service, and then, gently, firmly, walk away. You are stepping into a new archetype, the woman who is her own center, the woman whose value is inherent, not granted. The woman whose silence is not a void of his absence, but a sanctuary of her own presence. This isn't about becoming cold or hard. It's the opposite. It's about becoming so deeply rooted in your own self-worth that you can engage with others from a place of genuine warmth and openness, without the frantic, underlying fear of being left. You can give freely because you are no longer terrified of not getting anything back. Your own well is full. So the next time the phone is silent and the old panic begins to rise, remember this: that silence is not a judgment. It is an invitation. It is an invitation to come home to yourself, to leave the noisy waiting room and enter the quiet, sacred space of your own soul. It is an opportunity to ask the real questions, not, "Why isn't he writing?" but, "Who am I when no one is writing? What do I want? What brings me joy? What is my own next step, independent of anyone else's?" You are withdrawing the projection. You are calling your power back. You are taking the crown off his head and placing it gently, deliberately, upon your own. This is the alchemical transformation. The lead of anxious waiting is being turned into the gold of self-possession. The noisy, desperate silence of the game becomes the rich, resonant silence of a boundary. It is the sound of a woman choosing herself, and that is a sound that requires no external validation to be heard. It echoes through your own being, a deep and steady hum that says, "I am here, I am whole, I am enough." My silence is not a strategy, it is my homecoming. But this homecoming is not a single event. It is a process of re-inhabiting a house that has stood empty for too long. You must learn its creaks and groans, feel the way the light falls in different rooms at different times of day. This is the body memory layer of your transformation. For months, perhaps years, your nervous system has been trained to exist in a state of high alert. The silence on the other end of the phone was interpreted by your primal brain as a threat of exclusion from the tribe, a threat of abandonment which, to our ancient biology, meant death. This is not an exaggeration. It is the language of the amygdala. Every time you checked your phone and saw nothing, your body was flooded with a tiny dose of cortisol, the stress hormone. And every time he finally did text, you received a hit of dopamine, the reward chemical. You were, quite literally, living in a neurochemical casino, pulling the lever on a slot machine, your nervous system oscillating wildly between the stress of the gamble and the brief, addictive relief of a small win. This homecoming is the process of walking out of that casino. At first, the normal world feels bland, quiet, and unnerving. Your body still craves the highs and lows. This is the withdrawal. You might feel irritable, restless, or strangely numb. You might find yourself trying to pick fights with friends, or seeking drama in other areas of your life, simply because your system has forgotten what it feels like to be at peace. This is where the practice becomes deeply physical. It is about actively calming your own nervous system, taking over the job you had outsourced to him. When the familiar knot of anxiety tightens in your stomach, you don't look at the phone. You place both feet flat on the floor. You feel the ground beneath you. You are literally grounding yourself, reminding your body that you are safe, you are supported, you are here. You learn to breathe differently. The shallow, clipped breath of anticipation is replaced by a slow, diaphragmatic breath that signals to your vagus nerve that the threat has passed. You are telling your body, with your own breath, we are safe. We are not in danger. We are home. You might take up yoga or dance or running, not to distract yourself, but to feel the power and aliveness of your own body for its own sake. You are discovering that your body is not just an object to be desired by another. It is the vessel of your own life force, your most faithful companion. As you do this, you are not just healing your mind, you are rewiring your biology. You are building a baseline of inner safety that is not dependent on external events. Your body starts to trust you again. It learns that you will not perpetually lead it into the battlefield of anxious waiting. Sleep might deepen. Digestion might improve. The chronic tension in your jaw and shoulders might begin to dissolve. You are experiencing, in your very cells, the freedom you have been fighting for in your mind. And in this newfound safety, other parts of your shadow, besides the needy girl, may begin to emerge. Chief among them is often the angry woman, the good girl persona, the one who waits patiently, who is always understanding, who never wants to be a bother, has to repress an enormous amount of rage. It is the rage of being taken for granted, the fury of being treated as an option, the volcanic anger at having your time, your energy, and your heart treated so carelessly. For so long, you have turned this anger inward. You told yourself, I must have done something wrong. I am too much. I am not enough. This is anger that has been inverted into self-criticism and depression. It is the fire of your own life force being used to burn down your own house. Creating a boundary means you finally give this anger permission to exist, not to be unleashed upon him in a torrent of bitter texts that is still playing the game, still seeking a reaction. No, this is about allowing yourself to feel your own anger, in private, as a sacred and valid emotion. Anger is a messenger. Its message is, a boundary has been crossed. It is a surge of energy meant to protect you. When you allow yourself to feel it, you might write it out in a journal you will never send. You might scream into a pillow. You might go for a hard run, feeling the power of that fire in your legs. You are not indulging in negativity. You are reclaiming a vital part of your power. You are integrating the archetype of the witch or the dark goddess, the Kali, the part of the feminine that is not all soft light and gentle breezes, but is also the storm that clears the air. This anger, once acknowledged and honored, becomes fuel. It is the fire that forges the steel of your new boundaries. It is what will give you the strength to say no, not just to him, but to any situation that asks you to diminish yourself. As these layers integrate, the body calming, the shadow being met, you will start to notice concrete signs of a permanent inner shift. They are subtle at first, like the first crocuses of spring. One day, you will make plans for your weekend, a trip, a class, a dinner with friends. And you will realize halfway through making them that the thought, but what if he wants to see me, never once crossed your mind. Your future is no longer a tentative space held hostage by his potential whims. It is your own territory. You will be driving, and a song will come on the radio that you once designated as your song. You will feel a faint echo of the old sadness, a ghost of a memory. But it will not hijack your emotional state. It will be like seeing an old photograph of a person you once knew. You acknowledge it, and then your mind moves on to what you need to pick up at the grocery store. The emotional hook has been dissolved. A friend will come to you, distraught, reading you a transcript of her own text exchange, asking you to help her decode a man's ambiguous message. And as you listen, you will feel a profound sense of compassion, but also a profound distance. You will hear your own voice, calm and clear, offering her the wisdom you have earned. His message is not a riddle to be solved. His ambiguity is the answer. In that moment, you become a lighthouse for another, because you are no longer lost in the same fog. These are the moments you know the change is real. It is not a performance, it is a new state of being. And then comes the final exam, the late practical test. It could be weeks, it could be months. You have truly moved on. Your life is full. The silence is no longer a topic of thought. It is simply the peaceful soundtrack to your own rich existence. And then, one Tuesday afternoon, your phone buzzes, and it is his name. The old you would have experienced a full-body shock. A jolt of adrenaline, a frantic cascade of thoughts. He's back. What do I say? How long should I wait to reply? I need to seem busy. I need to seem cool. Your entire nervous system would have been thrown back into the casino. But the new you is different. You see his name, you register it, and you breathe. You notice a flicker of something, curiosity, perhaps a faint echo of the old hope. But it is not a tidal wave. It is a ripple on a very deep lake. You do not feel the compulsive urge to open the message immediately. The power dynamic has fundamentally inverted. The message is no longer a summons from a king. It is a knock on the door of a queen who is busy in her own castle, and she will answer it, if and when she is ready. You might finish the email you were writing. You might continue your conversation with a colleague. You might even put your phone back in your bag and forget about it for another hour. This pause is everything. The pause is your power. In that space between the notification and your response, you have reclaimed your entire self. When you do decide to look, you read his message. Hey, been a while, how have you been? And you see it for what it is. Not a declaration of love, not a sign that your silence worked, but simply a low-effort bid for your attention. The inner dialogue is no longer a frantic debate. The integrated self asks a simple, quiet question. What is my truth right now? Do I have the desire or the capacity for this connection? What is my intention in replying? Maybe your truth is a polite, gentle disinterest. You have genuinely moved on, and reopening that door feels like a step backward. Your reply, if any, might be brief, warm, and final. I'm doing really well, thanks. Hope you are too. It is a closing, not an opening. It is a boundary drawn with grace. Or maybe you feel a genuine, calm curiosity. You are no longer afraid of him, so you are free to engage authentically. Your reply is not crafted. It is honest. I'm well, thank you. Life has been full. What prompted you to reach out? You are not playing hard to get. You are asking a question from a place of genuine inquiry, assessing whether this is a connection worth reinvesting in. The outcome of this test, whether you reply, what you say, whether it leads to a new conversation or fades back into silence, is secondary. The passing grade was earned in the pause. It was earned in the moment you realized his text could no longer derail your peace. You have passed the test not when you get him back, but when you realize you no longer need him back to be whole. This journey, from the frantic waiting to the peaceful pause, is the work of a lifetime condensed into one potent experience. It is a microcosm of the larger journey of feminine empowerment. It is about realizing that your worth is not something that is given or taken away by another. It is a constant, an inherent state of being. The silence you once feared has become your sanctuary. It is no longer an emptiness defined by his absence. It is a fullness defined by your presence. It is the fertile ground where your creativity, your friendships, your purpose, and your joy can finally, truly take root and blossom undisturbed. And from this place of wholeness, any love that enters your life will not be a desperate attempt to fill a void, but a beautiful resonance between two complete souls. You no longer seek a man to build your world around. You seek a man who is strong enough to stand beside you in the world you have built for yourself.